you just show up to the world and hello world, yes, I'm wearing a hat. Welcome to the Dress Up Closet. I'm so excited to have you all in here with me today. In this video, we're gonna focus on 20 styling ideas that I am absolutely loving for spring. This is not going to be diving into all the spring trends, or for me, I like to call them spring characters. We're going to really get into that in April. But these are styling ideas that I'm loving, that have already been working into my daily outfits, and we're gonna break those all down for you so that you can get inspired to go into your dress up closet and play around with some of these ideas. And if you haven't, you can go back and watch my Thrift Like a Stylist video that came out last week. I start to talk about some of those ideas that we're going to unpack even more today. But this is really coming into the closet and talking about all the stuff that's being exercised and worked out on a daily basis, and that are really just little tweaks or inspirations that can get you excited, get your brain buzzing, and just fill you with some fresh inspiration. And then before we get rolling into all the styling ideas, I thought I'd just share what I'm wearing today. A little added bonus, I feel like belt bags are such a fun styling for spring addition. This is an amazing vintage belt bag that I got in New York at the Chelsea Flea Market when I was there in November, and I haven't worn it yet, so this is so much fun. And then this sweater, which reminds me of a ski sweater, and I love it, is from No Name Cashmere. And I love these little armholes that it has. And then I'm definitely just having a lot of fun with color right now. And I think definitely Prada and Miu Miu are influencing some of my color choices. But this amazing vintage skirt that one of you all sent to me, thank you so much. I love the little pleat detail of it. I added white tights and then my classic black Mary Janes with this look. But this was just a fun way of playing with color, and I definitely think color is a great way to experiment during the spring, really pulling out some different and interesting colors. And spring doesn't have to be skin. It can be a lot of layering or a lot of kind of wintry pieces, but in a fun, playful way, because spring still has cold weather. So we've got to get creative with how we get dressed. First, I'm going to talk about what has already been talked about in last week's video, which is just the idea of fisherman dressing. Embracing some of those maritime moments, the nautical, the sailor, and definitely a focus this year a little bit more on the fisherman versus just full-on sailor. Though for me, this is all woven together, and it's really showing up in a lot of my dressing lately, whether it's through little details that I've been adding, colors that I'm combining, and just ideas on styling. To recap, here's some of the inspiration that I shared last week, and we are seeing a lot of the fun color combinations when it comes to fishermen. So blues and yellows and greens and reds and whites and khaki, all of those really just classic color combinations. But then here are just some of the ways that I've been dressing it up lately, and I'm just having so much fun with it right now. The first thing I'm gonna mention is that I've been wearing on repeat my Fisherman block heels from Cezanne. I got them maybe last spring actually. And I wore them a little bit last year, but they are one of my signature shoes right now that I just can't stop wearing. I love this because it teases out the fisherman ideals without going full on fisherman. So I've been wearing it, first of all, with socks or tights, and I'm really loving that. When I pair it with a skirt, I love to do like a woolly sock with it, or with jeans, maybe a pop of color, maybe red or navy. So basically anytime I want to capture some of that fisherman inspiration, I've been wearing my Cezanne Fisherman block heels. I will also say they're really comfortable and they just feel like a great shoe that I can go all day in. It adds a little bit of height, which I usually love. There are versions out there that are more of a flat or simple heel, but I really think having a fisherman sandal is such a fun way to play around with this aesthetic right now. And just continuing on with this idea, I think something that I'm really loving about it right now is the way that it has sparked interest in certain color combinations for me. I've talked about this a lot, but that cobalt blue sweatshirt that I thrifted maybe, a month or so ago, has become such a closet staple for me. And I'm loving combining that cobalt blue with a few other colors. One in particular is I'm loving navy and blue added together. I also love a blue with a chocolate brown or a khaki. And then if I want to get a little extra crazy, I'm loving just the combo of a blue and a bright fisherman yellow. And about a week ago, I was in LA working on a photo shoot all week with Crossroads, which was very fun. But the inspiration that I channeled while I was there was this idea of the fisherman. I loved wearing the blue parka jacket that I found when I was doing the Thrift Like a Stylist video. Just that bright pop of blue. I paired it with some white Carhartt painter pants and just did a Fry campus boot that I've had for years. I loved all the details of the jacket, just having some of those rope ties to cinch in the waist. I added a belt bag, but some of those colors are just really doing it for me right now, and I'm loving playing around with that. And that feels such a perfect thing for spring and this time where it's still cooler outside, but you really want to embrace some of the spring feelings. I think color is a really fun way to do that. And an accessory that I am loving is this bright yellow, I'm calling it the fisherman hat, but it could also be called the Paddington hat. I've had this for a few years, and it was at the bottom of a drawer. I pulled it out, and now I just feel like this has to be on repeat for me. Usually every season I pick a few hats that are kind of my seasonal hat, and I think this hat, especially flipped up like this, is just going to be something that I return to over and over. I think it adds a bright pop of fun to any outfit, and I am loving it again with some of these colors. I love it with a navy. I love it with kind of a cream or khaki color and some more army green, and then a bright pop of yellow, and of course the fisherman sandal with that. And then this outfit's probably a little more nautical. I love playing around with the stripes of the nautical theme. And so taking a Breton stripe sailor shirt, a stripe sailor pant, a little tiny stripe blue t-shirt, and then even this vintage navy print cardigan, and just mashing that all together and then adding a big navy sailor coat on top of that. I think it's a really fun way to do this nautical or fisherman dressing, is playing around with print mixing, keeping it all in the same color family, all in the same theme, but everything's a little bit different, and just having a ton of fun with the layering, the styling, and the piling on of everything. So finding those pieces in your closet that all have a similar feeling to it. So for me with this, it was the color and the stripes, or like a print in the same color family, and then just really thinking of ways that I could layer it. And since I just mentioned taking the Breton top and wrapping it around my waist, the next styling idea that I am loving for spring is the idea of using a knit or kind of more of a crew neck piece, so a sweatshirt, a sweater, and using that as a layering or a styling option, almost seeing it as a belt or an accessory to the outfit. You'll notice there's a lot of repeating of that idea happening for me with dressing up. One thing I'm doing a lot is throwing it around the waist. You can go low at the waist or you can go high at the waist. I also am loving this over a blazer. So this is more of a kind of schoolgirl fisherman style that I did, where I took, a pleated skirt, I did a button down, a tie, threw on a blazer, but then instead of just stopping there, I took a bright green sweater and then wrapped it to the side of the blazer. I just think it added some fun, some interest to the outfit, a bright pop of color, and it's just such an easy and interesting way to style your outfits and make it more fun. Similarly, I took more of that fisherman creamy sweater that was like more of an open knit that I found last week in the Thrift Like a Stylist video, and I did more of a crossbody styling with it, which I also think is really fun. So I had a simple, just cream crew neck sweatshirt on with some army pants, but then I took that sweater and then tied it, crossbody over my outfit. And when thinking about the pieces to do this styling with, I recommend maybe more of a worn in or a really great kind of loose knit that's going to easily be wrapped around crossbody or around your waist, because if it's too stiff or too thick, it can kind of get bulky. It also can be hard to tie. So using those pieces that make the styling easier. While we're on that topic, the next styling idea is actually to treat scarves as styling accessories in unexpected ways. Of course, we love a scarf in the hair, on a bag, but something that I'm really loving is the idea of a scarf, again, wrapped around the waist. And I'm really loving playing with different sizes of scarves too. I did a really oversized leopard scarf and then wrapped that around just a very simple white button up and some khaki pants. And I love just that really bold statement. I'm also loving a smaller scarf, you know, there low at the hip, or you could also do that one around the waist as well. But I just think thinking of scarves as almost belts, or just that added pop of print or color to the outfit, is really fun. It's such an easy way to just elevate an outfit and make it more interesting. And to me, this is such a perfect trend or idea to take, you know, spring, but then really into summer, because I think you can use those scarves to do great layering without adding the bulk or the warmth that layering often causes. And when we get into those warmer months, you don't want all of that, but you might still want something interesting to add to your outfit. So just throwing a scarf around the hips or on your waist could just be a really fun way to style something and make it pop. And I often find that I like more of a cotton scarf for these ideas, just so there's not as much slipping. Every now and then I will use a silk scarf, but I do think if you're really looking to create some shape or keep it in a certain place, a cotton scarf is your best friend in that way. Another styling idea that you've already seen in a lot of these outfits is something that I absolutely love, and I feel like has been a huge part of my style for a really long time, and that's the idea of just one signature accessory. For me, that often is a necklace, but a signature accessory that's on repeat with your outfits, kind of no matter what you're wearing. And you're gonna see in a lot of these outfits, I've been wearing this long tassel necklace, which again kind of goes along with the theme of the fisherman and the nautical dressing that I've been loving. But I love throwing that on to every outfit. I think there's something about one signature thing that goes on repeat that adds, almost like it's the salt and pepper to the outfit. It just adds a little flavor that, even when it's an outfit that it doesn't necessarily go with, to me, that makes it even more interesting. I think maybe it was last year, it could have been like 2 years ago, I went on repeat with a really exaggerated long strand of pearls, which the fun thing with these accessories is that they still come back into my style, but I definitely go through moments where they're just really on repeat. And for me right now, that is this tassel necklace, and it's just fun. It's like I've got a sweater on, I throw it on with a blazer, sweater, denim. I've got on, you know, these piles of nautical dressing with all the stripes, and then I throw on that tassel necklace. I have a simple crew neck sweatshirt on, throw on the tassel necklace. Even if it kind of can't even be seen, to me, that's what makes it so great, is that it's like it's part of your skin, and then that is what takes the outfit to this level of personalization, and it feels like you. The next styling idea is add a clown collar. I love clown collars. I've been loving this for a few seasons now. And I think it started maybe with the clown collar that I got at Pickwick, which is that really fun pink ruffly one. But I think looking for some of those vintage blouses, like the one I found at the Bakersfield thrift store with the black piping on the collar, I know that if I put that under something, it's going to create a clown collar. And often it will like push the collar. You know, if I add a sweater or blazer or jacket or something, it might even push the collar to be even more clown-like, which I really like. So not just being stuck in the fact of how the collar is supposed to be on the blouse, I like to add the layer on top, so then it really creates that extra flounce and fun of a clown collar. So I think this is also something you can really make. One idea would be to thrift or find a little girl's tutu, cut open the tutu, and then add some ribbon to it, and then just make a clown collar. I mean, how fun is that? So as I'm saying that, I have those arm puffs that I could totally do that with, but I don't know if I want to eliminate my arm puff. Anyways, back to the clown collar. I'm seeing this a lot. It was on Altuzarra last season. It's on Altuzarra again, even I think for the fall of 2025. I'm seeing Valentino do this a lot. And so of course I'm loving it, but I think this is just a fun addition to some of your spring outfits, either adding a collar that has that clown effect or finding a blouse that has more of those really big and ruffly colors and doing some interesting layering with it. So I went full on clown with this look, pairing my velvet Harlequin print jacket and then putting it, you know, over top the blouse that created the clown collar. But I also think it could just be thrown onto a jacket. You know, you've got a blouse and a jacket on, and then you could just throw your clown collar over that. I love it with very classic and tailored pieces. So even maybe, you know, a trench coat, and then you add a clown collar on top of it. Just some dash of whimsy. The next idea is plaid for spring. We talked about this a lot last week in Thrift Like a Stylist, but kind of that 90s grunge button up is coming back, and to me that is the easiest thing you can thrift. I recently just found a great one. When we went thrifting in Thrift Like a Stylist, the options that I had weren't totally up to par, but then the following weekend, I found my perfect grunge plaid. It's like a cream base, which I like. It's also more of a light woven fabric, so it feels really easy to start wearing in these warmer months. It's got that great oversized fit. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun to play with. I've just only rocked it one time. I like layering it up, but I also think this could also be a great piece for wrapping around the waist. Remember that back in the 90s with Nirvana? That was like signature middle school look. White tee, torn up denim, you know, plaid flannel shirt wrapped around my waist. I thought I was real cool with that look on. Anyways, but we're returning back to that, and I think that's really fun. But I feel like this is a great styling idea to just add into your rotation during these spring months and have some fun with it. I am really loving this idea of plaid for spring. I know this has been a thing, but I think the fact that it's like really a thing this season makes it really fun. And actually, I've kept a lot of pieces in my closet that I would have probably moved into my kind of fall winter back closet, but some of those, you know, plaid pleated skirts, I've still got them. I'm gonna keep them in rotation for spring, and then even pairing like plaid on plaid is gonna be really fun. So I am loving this idea of plaid, but in particular, a great way to start with it is just this idea of the men's plaid button down. Okay, and while we're focusing on this outfit, I want to talk about this cable knit sweater. You saw me find this when I went to Metropolis, and I think I had even mentioned that I had the idea of chopping the sleeves off, which when I found it, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But then I got it home and really brought it into my closet. I wore it, and I realized that more of a bulky sweater like that is harder for me to wear here in California. And then even for styling purposes and versatility, I wasn't wearing it as much. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to chop off those arms. And I'm so glad I did. I love it. It really created this interesting detail of almost like a pointed sleeve. And I feel like it's the perfect layer for spring. And it's just that great creamy cable knit piece that can just be worn over so many things or on its own. I love the idea of this when it's a little bit warmer with some maybe jorts, you know, rocking some like leather shorts, and then that cream knit, and even just doing a tank top underneath, or, you know, piling on a few other ideas underneath it. I also think it's great because it makes it really easy to layer with a blazer. When you have a big bulky sweater, it's hard to put a blazer or a jacket on top of it, and this just makes it way more fun. So I love it. I'm probably gonna try to find another cable knit sweater to have in rotation for winter. But I think this is such a great idea for spring and a little DIY project that is so easy. All you need is scissors and just chop it off. Make sure you kind of hit it right there where the knit comes together so that there's, you know, nothing is starting to fall apart. But if you want to even distress it, I think that could be cool too. And continuing on with more styling ideas based off of this one outfit, and that is pairing a straw hat with maybe more of a layered up or knit outfit. So I think taking out that summer hat that maybe you wear when you're out in the sunshine, and then thinking about, you know what, I could add this in to a daily outfit that you wouldn't maybe think to pair a straw hat with. And I think that's what makes it more eye-catching. And with this one, I added a little bit of Western flair by, you know, tipping up the sides of my straw hat and then throwing on some Western boots to this. But I just think you could have even more of a menswear look on, like you could have a suited moment, but then you throw a straw hat on and that could just add something unexpected to the outfit. And I loved throwing on that straw hat to this look because to me, the outfit went in a completely different direction and just suddenly I felt even more magic and more alive. The next styling tip to play with is colorful tights. And I've been having a lot of fun with this lately. In particular, I have a pair of gray tights. And even today I have on white tights and then a pop of red tight. And this is just so much fun to add some color to your spring looks. And I think you can really have a lot of fun with what you pair it with. So if you've got more of a lacy piece and you want to throw some color underneath it, even if you've got more of a trouser pant, but you want to throw on like a pop of color, it could be a sock, but just that idea of like a pop of color on your legs and on your feet, to me is just so much fun. But what I really love about the colorful tight is wearing it with a sandal, not a flat sandal, but more of a heeled sandal. I just think it's fun. I love to see like the color of the tight through the shoe. So if it's more of a peep toe, T-strap, a full, you know, strappy sandal, adding a colorful tight really just adds an extra ounce of playfulness and personality to the outfit. And focusing in on this outfit with the red tight is the styling idea of wearing lace or lingerie as an everyday piece. Wearing it with a vintage lace Guy Laroche skirt really just added all of the edginess and the romance that I was looking for. And I just feel like this is really fun because you can do some interesting layering with it. You can wear, you know, a longer shirt or sweater and then with more of a lacy piece underneath or that sheer, you know, slip skirt or whatever it is. And then adding the pop of color with the tights or the socks is just so much fun and adds just this dynamic fashion forward look to your outfit. One of the best pieces you can have in your closet for spring is a trench coat. It's timeless, it's always chic. And this is also just something that I think you can find in any thrift store. I think almost every single thrift store I've ever gone in has had at least one trench coat. Maybe it's not the perfect trench coat, but they still have a trench coat. So I feel like you can always find one. And I think one of the best brands is usually London Fog. They're just always there. Everyone must have had them in the 80s and 90s because they're in every thrift store. And I finally found one that I really love. I think to decide on the color of trench coat that you want, like more of a khaki or more of a green or a gray. Also, how you want it to fit the silhouette of it. I like a little bit more of a rounded shoulder. I like a little bit of oversizedness to it, but not too much. I've had one that was just too big. It felt like it just completely swallowed every outfit I had. I also like one that has more movement to the fabric. So one that's really structured and stiff, I think is harder to wear. And I found that when I had versions like that, I would not put them onto my outfit because it just didn't feel as wearable. But I have found the perfect one that's just that great layer to the outfit and just adds the trench coat that we all need for spring. But something that I'm also loving is thinking about different ways to wear your trench coat. So of course the classic way, throw it on, you could cinch in with the tie or tie it at the back to create a little bit more of an open effect. I also think you could button it all the way to the top and make it the star of the show. And then in this outfit, which you guys saw me wear in the what I wore, I actually buttoned it to the top from here up, and then I belted it at the waist and created a little bit of drama by picking up the side of the trench coat and pinning it to my belt. So I think getting creative with how you wear your trench coat can be a really fun way to explore some new ideas for, you know, trench coat dressing. But then I also really loved adding it to this lace and color combo of an outfit because to me it grounded the outfit, you know, with the lace skirt and just, you know, basically no pants underneath and the sweater. It added some weight and structure to the outfit and made it really work for some everyday dressing. So I think it can just add that element into some maybe more unique or playful outfits. Maybe my favorite styling idea is the personality hat. I love a hat. I think everyone should be a hat person. To me, it's the game changer to the outfit. And I think a really good idea is to kind of find a few signature hats. I talked about this a little bit ago, but just that idea of a repeating hat that become almost like my seasonal go-tos. So right now I've been really still rocking the black pillbox hat that I started with, I think last summer. And then I'm loving that, you know, bold yellow flipped up fisherman style hat. I also have this really structured green beret style, but it's a cocktail hat that I've been loving with that pop of green on an outfit. But I just think the hat is the game changer. It's the thing that takes the outfit to the other level. It just brings on the love too. I feel like a lot of times I'll be around and then there's always the comment of like, oh, I love your hat. And I think it takes a little level of confidence. And you just show up to the world and hello world, yes, I'm wearing a hat, which everyone used to wear hats all the time. They didn't leave the house without a hat on. And I really just think we should just embrace that idea as the norm. And if you're a little nervous to do it, just start out with one hat that you feel comfortable with and just start adding it on. And then all of a sudden you're gonna just start feeling that magic and that confidence from that hat. But to me, it's like, I don't know, it's like the dessert at the end of the night that's just so good. It's just so good. And all of these can be found vintage. I mean, just go to any vintage store, antique store. You can also look at thrift stores, though I will say it's a little harder at thrift stores now to find a great, you know, vintage hat. But they're everywhere because, like I said, everyone had to wear hats anytime they left the house. So I just think we should be buying them vintage. So get on Gem app and find your personality hat. And I also want to know, what are your personality hats? Like, what are your seasonal personality hats? Because I definitely have mine, but I'd love to hear what you all are rocking and adding onto your outfits. A great accessory to pick up for spring is the tie. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, but ties are just so much fun to play with. And actually, I've been, I think last season, doing a lot of interesting styling with ties. So either combining two ties and wearing them as a scarf, you can wrap them around like a scarf, but maybe just going back to the classic way of wearing a tie. And if you don't know how to wear a tie, you can look it up on TikTok or YouTube. It's actually kind of simple. So once you get the hang of it, it's really great. So I'm loving it with some kind of 70s dressing. So going with like a tailored blazer, a button down, a tie, maybe a vest underneath that, some flare pants or wide leg pants, but just adding in that powerful tie to an outfit could just add some sophistication. Also just how you wear it, either tight up at the neck or you can even kind of go loose with it, depending on even the width or the fact that it's maybe a bigger tie or a more skinny tie. I love with a big tie to kind of go loose. It makes me think of maybe like the zoot suit era. So I think ties can just be that bold little addition to your outfit. And also just embracing the full suit and tie. It's just can't be matched. It's just so powerful. One styling tip is pulling out your cowboy boots and adding them to those unexpected outfits. So this is an example. I did kind of this very workwear / athletic look. I did the vintage Adidas Olympic sweatshirt, and then I wore my Carhartt pants, and then I just added cowboy boots onto that. I think it just adds like an effortlessness to the outfit. And I think you can really think about playing with cowboy boots and just, instead of grabbing the shoe that you want to grab, maybe thinking about, ooh, a cowboy boot with this. And for me, I love a little bit of a heel. I love these pointy toe ones that I have. I think it brings some elevation to the outfit. For me in particular, you could go full on Western with your cowboy boot, but I do like it worn more covered in terms of like wearing it with a pant or wearing it with a longer skirt, instead of just that very like Western look, which could be like a short dress or a short skirt with cowboy boots. Yes, of course you could do that. That's a fun summer thing. But for me, it's almost like the little dash of Western in there, not full on Western, and just that just kicks it up a notch. And then the final thing that I'm loving, and I feel like I've talked about this a few different times too, is one strand of pearls. I found a strand of pearls that, you know, was a smaller strand of pearls maybe last year, and I started to wear them a little bit in the mix with a necklace stack that I'd been wearing a lot. But then there was something about removing all the other necklaces and then just doing the one strand, or even pairing it with more of my long, you know, signature necklace, but just kind of the simplicity of that strand of pearls there. And then even with this look, which is with the green sweater and then the white prim collar, and just adding that strand of pearls there at the neck, it feels very girly and fun and ladylike. And there's something great about the simplicity of it as well. And it does feel fresh to me because it is something where I feel like in the 50s, you're always seeing the women wear their strand of pearls, but we haven't seen that in a while. And so adding that prim element to an outfit, even that doesn't have the ladylike aesthetic at all, can be really interesting and add some character to the outfit. So that is 20 different styling ideas to get you excited for spring and to get you into your closet and playing around with some of these ideas. A lot of this feels like items that you probably already have in your closet, or they're very thriftable and fun, and really just rejuvenate your brain. I feel like we're all coming out of the winter, I call it the winter cocoon, and heading into spring. And I'm so excited to really dive into the spring characters that I'm developing. We're gonna have a few of those, and we're gonna have a whole month dedicated to that. These are just a few different ideas or details that you can start adding in to your getting dressed process that might just add a little bit of something new, fun, and fresh. Or maybe you're already doing all of these ideas, or you have even more. And I'd love to hear the different ones that you have. But just as I was reviewing everything I've been wearing maybe for the last month and a half, I realized there was a lot of repeating ideas happening. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of put them all together for you and share what I've been loving. But I would definitely love to hear different ideas that you've been loving. So put those down in the comments below, and that way we can all kind of inspire each other, or even links to ways that you've worn things, if you've added photos on Instagram of yourselves wearing them, or if there's Pinterest images that go along with some of your ideas. I'd love to see that. So add those to the comments below. I cannot wait to see and hear everything that you're styling up right now. And that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and get ready for a whole month of spring magic coming in April. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I have new videos every single Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I also have a Substack, which I'm really loving doing, called Inside the Dress Up Closet. I've been kind of creating a lot of graphics that feel like they're in a styling notebook just to get you more inspired. So make sure you're subscribed to the Substack. The link for that is down below. And then finally, always play dress up. Bye!